Hi everyone, it is time for a July wrap-up. I am sorry if my camera wiggles a little bit like that. I'm sorry, I'm gonna try not to do that, but just by moving like this does that, so please bear with me. I am filming on a tablet, not like a high quality camera. So this month has been my best month since I started BookTube. I read 13 books, and today is August 2nd, and I start school on August 10th, so I'm like racing through to try and get it done, but 13 is my best month. Last year, my best month was also July, and I read 12 books, so here we are. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on my wrap-up. The first book I read this month, which I do not believe it was a month ago, it feels like 89 years. I read The Goddess Inheritance by Amy Carter, and this is book 3 in the Goddess Test trilogy. It is a sort of a retelling. It's about this girl named Kate Winters, and her mom has she has cancer, I think is what it is. And, you know, she's dying, she's just not doing too well, and her last dying wish is to go back to where she grew up. So she goes, and shenanigans ensue, and Kate takes place in this thing called the Goddess Test, where she takes a test to see if she can be immortal and win the heart of Henry, I think his name is, which is Hades. It's a really fun series. If you're looking for like a deep, really good literature or whatever, I wouldn't recommend it. But if you're looking for something fun and really interesting, I would highly recommend this. And I gave this one 4 stars. My favorite one remains the first. The second one was really good too, though. I don't know, just overall, this is such a good series. I really, really like it, and I think a lot of people would like it if more people knew about it, so here's your sign. Go read The Goddess Test. The next book I read is Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie, and I gave this 5 stars, and this is now my favorite book. I absolutely loved it. Do not kill me. You guys know how crazy of a Disney fanatic I am. I'm obsessed with everything Disney, but I may or may not have seen Peter Pan. I found the full movie on YouTube though, and I'm watching it in pieces, and I really like it so far. But this was so beautiful, as in quotes tabbed, and I love Peter. Like, I'm trying to picture him not as like a 7 or 8-year-old. I'm trying to picture him as more of like a little 16-year-old. Probably someone, I imagine him as Thomas Sangster. Sorry. But just, oh, I love the character of Peter. There's so many good quotes in this. Just please, I know everybody watches the movie, but please read the book, guys. It's so worth it. It is so, so worth it. Oh my gosh. The next book I read was The Girl of Fire and Thorns by Rae Carson, and I gave this 4.5. I think it was a 4.5, because if it wasn't, I need to raise it up. This was insanely good. It is about a girl named Elisa who she feels really just down, like really useless, but on her 16th birthday, she has to become the secret wife of this like really attractive and awesome, powerful, is he a king or a prince? He's a king. And she is overweight, and she was born with this gem in her stomach, and I think it's called a Godstone, yeah. And she's like the chosen one, and has all these battles, and there's lots of Hispanic references and things. It's really, really cool. Plus, there's also lots of Christian aspects in this. There's tons and tons of mentions of God, and, you know, like being moral and stuff, and I really appreciated that as a Christian. But it was also a fabulous novel with amazing characters, an amazing heroine who she knows what she wants and she gets it by fighting for it. And the prince is really cool. I wish he was in it a little bit more, but I still really, really enjoyed this, and I can't wait for the sequel. The next book I read was Slammed by Colleen Hoover, and I gave this 5 stars. This is about a girl named Lakin whose father passes away, and so due to money cuts and things like that, her mother moves Lakin and her little brother to Michigan. And while they're unpacking, Lakin meets the young, attractive guy across the street named Will. And, you know, it's clear that they have a connection, and surrounds lots of slam poetry, and then there's a mystery kind of about, like, there's like a problem with her romance, but you find out. I'm not going to spoil it for you. But it was so good, guys. Colleen Hoover. Can we take a moment? The first book I read by her was Maybe Someday, and I loved it a lot. I like this one even better. Guys, please just go read Colleen Hoover. I don't care. Just go do it, please. It was so good. The next book I read, this was my first book, I think, for Cramathon, Whitney's Cramathon, and it's one of the Dear America books, which you guys know I love, and this one is The Diary of Deliverance Tremblay, and it's about the Salem witch trials. I Walk in Dread by Lisa Rowe Faustino, and this was really good. I think I'd give it like 4 stars. My favorite one of these still remains the first one I read, The Diary of Piper Davis, but this was really cool. It's really informational about the witch trials. It's pretty written, and the cover is really nice, and I really liked one of the main characters. So I actually don't have much to say about that one. And then for another Cramathon challenge, I read Something Like Hope by Sean Goodman, and there is a trigger warning I like to give for rape, abuse, violence, self-harm a little bit, and maybe a little bit of suicide. This was a very, very difficult book. I gave it 3 stars, not because it wasn't done well, but because I honestly didn't expect it to be as dark and heavy as it was. So I was a little bit unsettled. It's about this girl named, oh boy, Siobhan. Yeah. And, you know, she's given birth at like 15 to a baby in foster care, and her mother left, and so it's crazy. And then she meets this new counselor that they have, and she thinks that he's the same as all the other counselors, but it turns out that he's really a good guy and has problems of his own, and everybody has problems, even the people that seem to have it all together. So it was pretty good, but it was just really rough, and I didn't really like it all of that much. The next book I read was The Tales of Beetle the Bard by J.K. Rowling, and I gave this 4 stars. I don't have much to say about this. It's just like a companion to the Harry Potter series because everybody knows about it. That's why I don't have much to say. But I love Harry Potter. I love Harry Potter so much. Everybody's already read this, so I'm just going to kind of zoom through. The next book I read was The Pearl by John Steinbeck, and I gave this 3 stars. I did not like this as much as I did of Mice and Men, which was incredible. I loved of Mice and Men. This was about Kino, and he's a diver, but he's really poor, and his family like searches for pearls, and one day he like finds this thing, I think they call it like the Earth Pearl or something, I don't even know, but pretty good. It's really sad though, but I like it. The next book I read was Point of Retreat by Colleen Hoover, the sequel to Slammed, and I read this in 1 sitting. I sat down in my bed at like 11 o'clock at night, and I was like, I'm just gonna read a few chapters, and I literally could not put it down. It's not as if it's a mystery or like a fast-paced dystopian. It's just like, I read her books so easy. She's one of those authors where you're on page 95, which, yeah. And then you read for a little bit, and then you look down, and you realize that you're on page 130, and you're like, how did I get here? It's so fast. I cannot recommend Colleen Hoover enough. She's my favorite contemporary author, next to Rainbow Rowell. Yeah, no, Colleen Hoover's amazing, guys. 5 stars. I read it in 2 hours, guys. Yes. All the yes. Then I read Every Last Word by Tamara Ireland Stone, and I gave this 4.5 stars. I love Tamara Ireland Stone's other book, Time Between Us. Is that what it's called? Yeah, about time travel, but this is about a girl with OCD, and she just struggles with that, and she finds a poetry club that starts to get her to come out of her shell a little bit and just deal with it, and there's a twist that I did this. I was at my grandma's, and I was like, then I had to read again. I was like, what? This is one of the biggest plot twists I've ever read in my entire life. Please go read it, guys. It's great. It's a great representation of a mental illness, OCD. This next book I read is my favorite so far of the year, and it is A Book of Spirits and Thieves by Morgan Rhodes. You guys know that my favorite series, my favorite fantasy series is, oh boy, Fallen Kingdoms, and this is the first book in the prequel series to that. It's like modern and old day. It's like different POVs. This was perfect. I could not find one flaw. The characters were lovable. The different POVs were all enticing and gripping and just fast-paced and amazing. I think I'm going to do a review of this because I can't do it justice in just a wrap-up. Please go read it and read Fallen Kingdoms too. It's my favorite, probably my favorite series of all time, honestly, that isn't Percy Jackson. The next book I read was 1984 by George Orwell, and I had to read this for school, and I gave it 4 stars. I actually really liked it. I liked it especially as far as school reading goes, because that can be kind of difficult, but it was pretty interesting, and I really like dystopian. This was like an old-timey first dystopian, so it was really cool to read it, and I will be reading more of George Orwell. I actually bought Animal Farm and plan to read it soon. And I hope my camera doesn't cut off, but if it does, I'm sorry. The last book I read was Inland by Kat Rosenfield, and I gave this 5 stars, I think? 4.5 stars? No, it was 4.5 stars. I dropped it down a star because it was a little bit difficult to understand at the end, but this is about a girl named Callie who watches her mother drown and has had breathing problems her whole life. So her and her father move inland to try and get away from all those memories and things, and just lots of mystery and a great romance that doesn't overbear on the plot. It's fabulous, and it's beautiful, beautifully written. One of the best writers I've ever seen. I have not read the last of Kat Rosenfield. So everybody, tell me down below what you guys read this month, and let me know if you liked any of these that I mentioned. Let's just chat. Let's talk. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.